things can change really in a hurry in college football. A couple seasons back, TCU found itself in the national championship game in Sonny Dykes' first season there. He was the toast of Fort Worth. And now, last week, the Frogs blow a three-touchdown lead to UCF in their Big 12 opener. And there's a lot more grumbling about Sonny among the TCU fans. So is he officially on the hot seat, or is that still a little premature?
I think he's on the pre-hot seat, right? Like this year sets up how hot his seat is in 2025. Um, I think he achieved too much too soon, honestly, right? Like,
Mm,
I mean, you never want to, it's not like he was going to lose purposely to like reset expectations or anything, but I think there is a curse from getting to the national championship game so quickly with a team that was so old, right? Like they had to reset everything after that year. Like they lost their best quarterback, their best running back, their best offensive lineman, their best wide receiver, their best defensive lineman, their best linebacker, their best corner, and their best safety.
yeah.
Right? Like there's no denying that they lost their best player at every single position group. Even in the transfer portal, that takes time to reset. And then on top of that, I'm not convinced he got the offensive coordinator hire right after Riley left to go to Clemson. The red zone offense really struggled last year. This year Josh Hoover's looked great at quarterback, but they're up 21 in the second half and can't run the ball. Right?
Mm.
They don't even try. Like they get the ball, they're up 21, three straight passes, they punt it. Like they're just not able to be balanced in a way that they were with Kendre Miller before. So much of being a head coach is surrounding yourself with the right people, and there's a lot of regimes that have been doomed by making the wrong hire. And I do wonder for Sonny, he's made a change at defensive coordinator. He was forced to make a change at offensive coordinator when Garrett Riley left, and I'm just not sure if he has the answers at both coordinator spots to turn this thing around. And I'm not sure that they're talented enough to go turn this thing around. At least not in the short term. Maybe one more offseason allows that, but the offensive line hasn't gotten better. Running back position isn't all that great. Right now, that they look like an old school Big 12 team that's got to go win games 52-48 because their defense isn't going to hold up and they can't run the ball.
Mm.
Again, Mike has nailed it. But I think that obviously with SMU kind of going into a new conference, and obviously they're going to pump a bunch of money into there. You don't want TCU obviously wants to beat them. I think Baylor's got some recruiting momentum, and I know TCU obviously wants to beat them. And so I think that, yes, he is the burrito in the microwave. You haven't turned the microwave on, but it's getting ready to be hot. And
Mm.
so yeah, I don't think he's on the hot seat this year, but like Mike said, maybe next year. And I think of dave-aranda in 2021. He won that Big 12 title, and then everybody left, and those were rules guys, and they kind of went back down. So like, does that 1 year of really, really good success give you a longer leash? I think it does, but you've also got to kind of show what you got and recruit and build and coach and all of it. And I think both dave-aranda and Sonny Dykes are kind of in the same trajectory, if that makes any sense.
The problem with the burrito in the microwave is that there's always like you get the edges, they might be scalding hot, and then the middle is like still frozen or whatever. I mean, that's probably like Sunny in terms of there's probably TCU fans out there who are still very gung ho for Sunny, but yeah, then there's those that are ready to send him out on the next boat. I will say to Mike's point about it starting to heat up if they go out and lose to SMU this week, wouldn't you say
Yeah.
that dials it up another few notches?
Yeah, because as a college football fan, your happiness is directly correlated to the misery of your neighbors, right? Like Zach's a Michigan State guy, right? Like the worse Michigan is doing, the better it is to be a
Hmm.
Michigan State fan. I went to UTSA. Texas State being awesome makes you being a UTSA fan not that fun, and it makes you as a fan go like, why are they passing us up? And TCU's lost their quarterback commitment to SMU. SMU's now kind of a peer. They're on the same playing field as them for the first time in my lifetime, right? Like since the death penalty, SMU and TCU are playing on the same field again. And that's scary. Baylor's starting to recruit well, as Zach mentioned, and that's another peer that you're competing against. And so I think if you're TCU, you're looking around and you go, okay, SMU's making some moves. Here's Baylor getting some talent. Like, what are we doing? Like, how are we positioning ourselves to go win this new look Big 12. Because if you're TCU, you look around and you go, Texas is gone, Oklahoma's gone. Why shouldn't we be the top program in this conference? Like, we have the most money. We have DFW in our back pocket. Like, why wouldn't we be the year in favorite? And instead, we're losing to UCF at home. But it's thin margins, right? Like, TCU went 6-1 in one possession games in 2022. Like, they
Mm,
won almost every coin flip except for that Big 12 championship game that didn't end up mattering. They're 0-5 since in one
wow.
score games. So like,
Yeah.
they're just not winning. I mean, y'all were there for that Baylor TCU crazy game in 2022. Like, they just had some magic that they don't have anymore for whatever reason. And that can make you go from hot shot coach to what are we doing here very quickly. Like, unless you're Georgia, where you can just beat teams by 30 most weeks, like, it's going to be small margin football, and TCU's just not winning those small margins anymore.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, just to maybe dive down this rabbit hole a little bit deeper, do you guys think that there are TCU fans who are like, man, we should have never gotten rid of Gary?
No, I think that's a step too far. I think that's a step too far. I think there's parts of Gary that they miss.
The
He was great.
defense, the
Yes,
defense.
he was great defensively. He was really good talent acquisition guy, right? Like, he was tremendous at finding the 3 stars that end up becoming first and second round draft picks. Like, that's what that whole roster was in 2022, was the Kendre Millers and the D Winters and the Hodges Tomlinsons. Like, there was the Quentin Johnstons, but like he was more of an exception than a rule. I think that's the part TCU is missing. I think it's the part that Baylor's been missing, honestly, since Matt Rule as well. Like, who's the next group of players? Like, who's the next stars? Like, at Baylor, who's the Terrell Bernards? Who's the Jalen Petries? At TCU, who are the D Winners? Who are the Hodges Tomlinsons? Where's the Max Duggans? It's replacing those guys that they got to figure out. This is a talent game as much as anything. Like, we put way too much into the head coaches because they're the ones that stay constant in this sport. But this is still about the Janes and the Joes. Like, it is about the players on the football field. Baylor hasn't replaced those stars, and TCU hasn't either, and we've seen the results kind of come back to earth because of it.
Yeah. Players make coaches look better. There's no
Mm.
question about it. I mean, I was so impressed with Max Duggan that year that I gave him my Heisman vote. So, I mean, there you go.
He
Hard to,
got beat out. He got beat out going into the season.
right. Yeah.
Still one of the craziest things ever.
Oh, that was an amazing story. Just that whole TCU team, really.